Hey, so I just wanted to do a short video on the fourth line. Yesterday I was tagged in a post on Facebook by a manifester who's a fourth line who was really angry about the way I'm describing the fourth line. And she said it was super offensive and wrong and just kind of ranted about it. And I wrote a whole response and I went today to try to find it and it was gone. So I think it was deleted. I don't really know what happened with that. But in any case, and the original post I couldn't find either. Okay, so the fourth line. What is the fourth line about? Okay, so if you follow the profile lines, starting with the first line, the first and second line are two different strategies for basically, we could call it two different strategies for survival. And the first line strategy for survival is to learn as much as you can about the way things are. And the second line strategy for survival is to prepare as much as possible for things to change. And you don't know how they're going to change, so you prepare for all different scenarios, some of which never happen. And that preparation is not really preparation in the first line sense. It's more like testing yourself, testing your own determination. See, the first line is very malleable. The second line is very determined. And so the second line is determined to kind of persevere. And it's you know, so these are these two ways of surviving through being malleable and through adaptation, and then surviving through determination. And then we move on to the third line, which is testing out the first two. It's really here to test them. And it's part of this ajna binary through continuity, where basically it's about the mutation. It's about making the mutation. And the fourth line is about getting the mutation out there. So these are part of a binary, the third and fourth. Then the fifth and sixth are part of their own binary as well, with universalization and so on. And but the point is that the fourth line is really here to externalize. It's here to transmit. It's here to really analyze where information is not being transmitted correctly, where people are not getting on board correctly. And see, here's the thing. If you have a fourth line, you've probably heard all this stuff about you create your own reality and all this manifestation culture garbage. Well, that's actually somewhat true for fourth lines. Fourth lines are the only ones that the secret actually works for, because fourth line is the ultimate fake it till you make it. It is the image that you externalize to others, right? It is the vibe that you put out there. It is the stuff you talk about that becomes your reality as a fourth line. So if you're putting out, my life sucks, then people go, wow, that person's life sucks. But if you're putting out, my life's great, they go, wow, that person's life is really great. It's what you put out there that they see. It's very different than for the other types. The other types are not doing this, or the other lines, right? It's only the fourth line that's really externalizing in this way. Yeah, sure, there's a projection field of the fifth line, and there's also a projection field of the second line that's not talked about as much. But the externalization theme of the fourth line is not the projection field. It's just externalizing. It's just putting something out there, trying to get it across. Now, what is it externalizing? Well, it's externalizing what it has a foundation in. And I have said before that the fourth line is like a CD-ROM, that it can't be rewritten. Now, I mentioned in the post yesterday that I'll put a caveat on that. That's not something that Ra said. This is something that I've observed from my own life experience. I've also noticed that for the fourth line, everything is about how they're seen. How they are seen is incredibly important, much more so than for a fifth line. I mean, a fifth line has a reputation, right? So their reputation, sure. But the fourth line, it's more about, don't misunderstand me. See, a fifth line doesn't care if they're understood or misunderstood or this or that. The fifth line is a bigger fish to fry, so to speak. So it's a different game. Ra wasn't going out there and trying to kind of micromanage how people saw him by saying, oh, no, you're seeing me the wrong way. What we really should be seeing is this. Because the fifth line knows that if you do that, it's going to be taken a different way than you intended. Right? The fifth line is like a step above or a step removed from this whole process. So what happens with the person yesterday, the manifester, who was complaining and was saying, Jonah, what you said is extremely offensive and inaccurate, totally wrong information, yada, 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 yada. Policing the way I describe fourth lines. What is this? This is the fourth line process. The fourth line process is to police how they are seen. It is absolutely to maintain. See, but then this fourth line externalized a bunch of anger. And I don't know if the post was deleted, but I can't find it. And I certainly don't have it in my notifications anymore like it was yesterday. And I can't find my response either. So, I'm not sure. Maybe the post is still there and it just kind of vanished. But, I'm going to leave that aside because I don't have that information. In fact, well, let me look one more time just to see, because I don't want to misspeak. This was in the Human Design Catalyst Facebook group, and I'll look up like CD-ROM or something because that's or CDR. Yeah. Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, no, the original post is here. All right. I call BS about 4 lines not wanting to be corrected and cannot change. I'm a 4/6 with 9 fourth line gates, and I would hate to be passing incorrect info. Okay, so the first step is I've said that fourth lines do not change their foundation, that the foundation is meant to be fixed. It's a fixed foundation. You see this especially in the 4/1 where they're double fixed, and also in 1/4s. But this fixed foundation. So what this person is saying is they don't have a fixed foundation. Their foundation changes. It's not true. The foundation does not change. But okay, they say that they would hate passing incorrect info. Of course, they would hate being seen to be passing incorrect info because this is 100% about how you are seen, how you are externalizing, and whether the information can be transmitted through this. And if you come across as somebody trustworthy who only passes along correct info, then you can do your fourth line job. I welcome any corrections because I know my influence. Well, I really doubt that. I doubt any fourth line truly knows their influence. I mean, fully. But I also doubt that they would welcome any corrections. I can't tell you how many times I've run up against the fixity of the fourth line. Ra talks about it too. The fourth line is so influential and has so much fixedness that literally they're just going to externalize what they have a solid foundation in. And their solid foundation, it cannot really be questioned. You can't start questioning their foundation. You know, they bring that foundation with them throughout life. That foundation that they were raised with. I mean, there's a permanence here. And this person who's telling me that the fourth line is adaptable, no, it's not. It's fixed. They're telling me that the fourth line changes and changes its foundation. No, it doesn't. The third line is adaptable. The third line is constantly trial and error. The fourth line can't be adaptable. How could it be adaptable? It has to be fixed. It has to be fixed to do its job, which is to get the information out there. So I welcome corrections. Okay, sure, welcome corrections that are helping you build your foundation. But I can't tell you how many times I've seen fourth lines, they have a solid foundation in something. They are not going to question that. They're not going to ask and test, maybe this person's wrong. I mean, the fourth line thing is basically that they have some special information they have to transmit. I know fourth line who knows like top Ayurvedic medicine people, like top in the world, famous celebrities in Ayurveda. This fourth line will never change. They've already had 20 years of foundation in Ayurveda. They know Ayurveda inside and out. They know the 7-centered system inside and out, and they have got it from the masters. So they're externalizing and they're doing, they're charging hundreds of dollars to give people Ayurvedic medicine stuff and so on. And, I explained to them the difference in the 7-centered and the 9-centered and how the Ayurvedic system is a 7-centered system and would they be interested in learning about the 9-centered? No interest, zero interest whatsoever, I mean, sure, there's probably a fourth line out there who has, come to human design from Ayurveda, but they're probably using their strong foundation in Ayurveda and their foundational skills to learn human design. They're not a blank slate. A fourth line cannot be a blank slate. They can't show up in a town as a blank slate with no history, with no past, with no influence, with no connection. No, everything about the fourth line is building up their influence through their solid foundation. As soon as they change the foundation, all the influence goes. As soon as they correct the foundation, it goes. I welcome any corrections. Yeah, no, you don't, because I'm correcting you right now and you're not welcoming that. My video was a correction to your understanding of the fourth line process. You're not welcoming it. This person continues to write, I have also completely changed and reinvented my foundational belief systems. Okay, through the foundation that you have. If you're raised to believe that this is the way you act, then when you reinvent your belief system, you're going to act that way with a new belief system. If you're raised to believe, it's very important to treat others with respect and dignity all the time, then whatever belief system you go into, you're going to continue to treat others with respect and dignity all the time, because that's how you were raised. It's these foundational things which this person is saying that they've completely transformed their foundational beliefs. It's not true. It's not true. The 6th line changes. The sixth line goes through radical transformation. The fourth line is fixed. This person has changed careers and even sexual expression many times over their lifespan. Okay, yeah, fourth lines do change careers. What they're doing is they're either building up a solid foundation where the new career is tangential to the old one, like they were a lawyer and then they become a teacher of law, for instance, or they're changing profession, like they were a barista and they're becoming a guidance counselor. And in those cases, it's very, very, very hard for them to do that because they basically still have such a strong foundation and certain foundational skills that they've accumulated. See, the fourth line accumulates in the same way the first line accumulates. And what the fourth line accumulates is a friend network. It accumulates influence. It accumulates power through its connections. And it's not questioning whether these connections are good or bad. I mean, in some sense. Like, say a fourth line meets a bunch of people who have power and influence. They're celebrities. They're fashion designers and artists and celebrity chefs and this and that. They're hanging out with this group of people. The fourth line is not here to scrutinize that group and ask if that group needs to change. The fourth line is the abdicator. They do the opposite. They look to what the group wants, to let the group decide. They're not here testing the group. They're not here challenging the group. They're not here to be a heretic for the group. They're here to assume that that group is good and then to externalize and bring from that group to other people. To say, oh, look, here's these fashion designs this person did. Here's this incredible food this person made. Here is like a nice way to live. Here is a lifestyle. The fourth line is here to externalize a certain lifestyle, not to question that lifestyle, not to change that lifestyle, not to examine whether that lifestyle is sustainable or not, or whether it's healthy or not, or whether it's correct or not, or any of that stuff. The fourth line is simply here to transmit it. They assume that what they have is the goods. I mean, I've seen a fourth line, who has sold multi-million-dollar contracts to other companies in a B2B scenario. And that fourth line is 100% concerned with, how do I sell this? How do I explain it? How do I communicate it? How do I market it? How do I identify who my target customer is? It's like there's like the research and then the execution phase, or the search and execution phase in business. In the search phase, in the research and development phase, you're building it all up and so on, you're figuring it all out. Well, the fourth line is still kind of part of the research and development. What they're a part of is it's not really, because it's upper trigram. It's like, it's right angle. So they're actually researching and developing better techniques for transmitting information, like better ways to advertise, better ways to communicate, better ways to get across what it is they're trying to get across to the other. In this case, this person is trying to get across to me, I'm flexible and I love to be corrected. And that's what they're trying to externalize to me. Instead, what they have externalized is a bunch of anger. Okay, you do a great disservice to have such low opinion of the fourth line ability to learn, grow, change, and evolve. No, I'm not. In fact, fourth lines like this person are doing a great disservice to other fourth lines for preventing the discussion of what a fourth line is and trying to characterize the fourth line as adaptable. Trying to characterize the fourth line as being able to change. Fourth line can't pick up their life and move to a new city full of strangers and then adapt to a completely new career, to a new lifestyle, to a new way of being, to a new friend group. That's not what they're here to do. And if they do, they're going to bring with them the old lifestyle, and they're going to continue to externalize that. It's like the New Yorker who moves to Ireland. They don't become Irish. They're just like the New Yorker in Ireland or something, if they're a fourth line, because they're continuing to externalize the New Yorkerness. They're not here to adapt and become very Irish and part of the Irish culture. So, okay, I do a great disservice to have such a low opinion of the fourth line. Well, first of all, I never said anything about my opinion. And I don't say anything about my fourth line, my low opinion of the fourth line ability to learn. In fact, the opposite. The fourth line can take everything that the person gives them unquestioningly and put it out there. This is why you have fourth lines who believe, particularly 1-4s, who believe in flat earth, right? They actually have a great ability to learn. They have a great ability to learn a foundation in a certain system unquestioningly. And my low opinion of them to grow, supposedly? Oh, change. Oh, this is great. Have you heard Ra's rant about people don't change, And then evolve? What does this even mean here? This person says, we're not CDRW by a long shot. Well, yeah, I said CD-ROMs, actually. CDRW, you can rewrite. I'm a CDRW, right? Yes, we might be on a continuum. I admit I have very strong Pluto in my astrological chart, and others may not. But please don't paint fourth lines the way you did. It's very inaccurate and offensive. No, it's not. If you're offended, sure, but it's not inaccurate. The way I'm describing fourth lines is how they operate, how they have to operate to be able to do their job. That person I mentioned who sold multi-million dollar contracts, what is he concerned with? He's a manifester. He's a fourth line manifester. What he is concerned with is who is our audience and how are we marketing it to them? How are we describing it? What language are we using? Should we describe it this way? Maybe that's not really accurate. Maybe we should describe it that way instead. Every step of the way, it's how do we sell this? How do we market it? How do we externalize it? How do we demonstrate it? How do we, and it's not that he doesn't want to develop the product. He says, hey, I have a great idea. The product should also do this. Hey, I have a great idea. The product should also do that. The fourth line is there's change. It's just all out of this foundation. And there's never the question of what if the foundation is flawed? What if we have to throw the whole thing away? What if what we're doing is causing more harm than good? What if the heretical question never enters? The heretical question is like, what if this is actually a problem? You can imagine a bunch of fourth lines who were raised Catholic who then go and join the Crusades or go and become martyrs or go and become, maybe not martyr, that's the third line theme, but maybe they become missionaries, right? And these fourth line missionaries, they're typically 2-4s because they've heard the call and now they're doing the externalizing. They're not questioning whether they're helping or hurting. They're just assuming that they're helping. They're assuming that they're bringing Christianity to non-Christians. That's helpful to them because they're going to save their soul, right? This is the fourth line. The fourth line assumes. It assumes that the foundation is correct. It is not here to destroy that foundation and to tear that foundation down and build it back up. So this person calling BS about the fourth lines, not being able to tear down their foundation and start over. No, this person is BS. It's completely BS. This person is doing a fourth line thing they don't like how they're being seen, so they're trying to externalize a different way of being seen. They're trying to manage the communication again. The fourth line is the communication expert that says, I don't like how this product's messaging is. The product messaging is not accurately getting across the benefits of the product. See, the fourth line always thinks that what they have to sell is a benefit to the others. They always assume that. They never, ever think of it as a problem. I know a fourth line sommelier who, sells wine to people. And there's a lot of alcoholism in that world. And she even sells wine to people that have functional alcoholism. She's not going to look at that alcoholism. She's not going to examine that alcoholism. That alcoholism is the negative shadow that the fourth line ignores. Because the fourth line isn't here to dig into the shadows. They're not here to question all of the problems that arise from their externalizations. They're just here to make sure you buy the damn thing. They're here to make sure that they communicate it correctly. They're here to make sure that they transmit the information from their foundation correctly. So they're continually changing the way they transmit the information. They're continually correcting the way they transmit the information. They're continually reinventing the way they transmit the information. They're always learning and growing and changing and evolving the way they transmit the information. And that's it.